I'm Paula Lopez, and I'm a third culture kid. As all of you might have learned from the previous video, I became a third culture kid from a young age and have been one fever since. My life has been filled with constant change, and through all of that moving, a lot of things have happened that have shaped me to be who I am. I will not lie, I kind of love being a third culture kid. I find some excitement in finding new things about the places I'm going to and meeting new people and learning new things. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to that. Some people might agree with me, and some people might not. But I think what makes it all more special is that I got to experience it with my family, because I'm sure that without them, I would not feel the same way. My family is probably the single and most important thing in my life. That's all I have to say. They have been through everything with me, have given me so much, and have supported me in my dreams for my whole life. And I think it is mainly because of how much we move. They have all seen my potential and have guided me through many things so that I can achieve it. I would not be able to reach my full potential if we lived in Guatemala. My whole family knows it. Over time, I have not only developed a strong bond with my family, but have also met probably the most amazing individuals of my life. I feel that since I've moved so much, I have found a deeper love and appreciation for the people that have been there for me since day one. And eventually, you get very confident when it comes to choosing your friends. You find out who you belong with and who will not create a positive environment for you. This skill enabled me to find amazing friends in all of the countries and has given me experiences that I will never regret. By learning who to surround myself with and my host culture, I am able to understand how to adapt to the new environment due to the ideas as to what to expect and produce to achieve a wider view on the different cultures present. This is possible because of my constant exposure to them at international schools. By attending an international school, I have access and understanding to more perspectives, which helps me with so many different aspects of my life, such as writing papers, decision-making, social situations, and has helped me become a wiser and more insightful person when it comes to dealing with crisis and stressful situations. Being a TCK has taught me many things that have helped me get through a giant amount of problems, but I believe that it has caused more problems than it has solved. Now, I would tell you how great it is and how much I get to experience, but the truth is that being a third culture kid isn't easy. That's all you need to know. There is no stability. It has a constant change and surprises, both good and bad. I've always imagined it as if I'm leading multiple lives, one in each place where I've grown up. Through my life, I've moved 8 times, and I still have ties with each of the respective countries. I have friends from all of the places, and I still get into all of the gossip, and I'm still remembered. I get to experience the ups and downs of each of the places, even if I'm learning in another place. Most of the time, I can benefit from keeping in touch with so many people, but the reality is that it does add a lot more wasted time to my daily routine. One of the greatest downsides is that the people who used to love grow and change, creating noticeable difference with their personalities and their relationship. It is also problematic because it does indeed cause a lot of anxiety, most specifically if I have to pretend to be someone that I am no longer. Looking back at my experiences, I can confidently say that I was not myself in Manila, and I pretended to be this tomboy girl, who I really wasn't. And sometimes I still find myself acting the same way while contacting some of my friends. I do it because I'm scared that they don't like who I've become or that they might see through the lies from the past 5 years. To add on, I don't act differently with the people in Manila, but I do with every single place that I've lived in. And through this journey, I have found that people change people. They change you, the way you act around them, the words you use, or they can sometimes even affect your confidence. It has been observed by psychologist David C. Pollock that people start acting similarly to the culture in which they are living in due to the adaptation. This means that a majority of the times people will pick up habits that were uncommon on them before. But if adaptation is hard, it can potentially cause me to pretend to fit in, leading to greater issues. Manila was probably the most problematic of all places. I faked my interests, faked who I was, and went to life completely ignoring my identity. Many things occurred to me because of it. I was diagnosed with things such as anxiety. I was constantly sad, eating junk food, and so many more things. The Manila environment was somewhere where I would never be able to thrive in, where I had to be someone else to get to the top. Now that I have moved, I can more clearly observe the differences between my adaptation. Here in Busan, I found that I grew into the country and gradually started taking in many of the interests and culture into my own life. I just started to appreciate the culture little by little and eventually got influenced by it. There's also the fact that my friendships and family have had less of a problematic nature, with a noticeable less toxic and more genuine root. Having relationships like these have helped in many fields of my life. They have helped me battle anxiety and stress, as well as decrease the levels of attention deficit and increase my self-image. Before you ask, no, I do not have ADHD, but sometimes I do stare into blank space and not listen to what you're saying, or sometimes I get so distracted that I don't even remember what I was doing as I did it. These issues have been some that have affected me since I was 11, a majority of them due to the experiences as a third culture kid, but based on recent test results, it has been noticed that my anxiety, stress, and attention deficit problems have decreased significantly. The test results are the only thing that show it, but my family has increasingly said that I have gotten more open, friendly, and that I have found myself in ways that I hadn't before. I don't freak out as often, I don't panic when I have schoolwork, don't go to another planet while in classes, and have become an active student. My confidence has incredibly increased, in myself, my studies, and so many more things. This is due to the adaptation, through adapting to the positive environment of the school and my friends. The dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphin levels have increased to a healthy level in comparison to before. Of course, this doesn't mean that the problems aren't there. I sometimes lose attention while doing work, or panic over little small details like not knowing a word, or experience extreme anxiety because of an unclean room. Through many studies and tests with psychologists, the stress and anxiety has been described as a need for perfection and need to be right, and it is believed that it stems from the need of control and self-preservation. My life is something I can't control. I don't control where I move to next or who will be in my life. It's the feeling of choicelessness that I get when it comes to the big things in life, because the moving and activities are all out of my reach and nothing I can do will change it. Now, I said these problems come from being a third culture kid, but that is not entirely true. The intensity of the problems increased substantially on November 27th, 2015, the day in which I can confidently say is the worst day of my life. Loss was never a foreign idea to me, but this loss was unlike the others as it was the loss of a loved one. After this event, I pulled away from my family, my friends, and I just wanted to be unnoticeable. I wanted all the popularity gone, to leave Manila, and most importantly, I wanted to leave everything behind and move. I developed trauma due to the passing of my friend. I'm aware that it is not directly connected to being a third culture kid, but it has to be considered that I wouldn't know 3/4 of the people I know if it weren't for that lifestyle, and I wouldn't have had those 5 wonderful years with a person if I hadn't spent 2 years in Switzerland. This experience made me open my eyes, and I got a wider view at reality. I saw it all from first to third world countries. I saw how the environment affected the world around us and how it impacted the different parts of relationships and identity through my interaction with others. It was honestly kind of interesting. In my life, I've had friends that come from and have lived in different places, but somehow we all have one thing in common. We all want to belong. The atmosphere between Manila, Busan, Switzerland, Mexico, and the other places were completely different. They were all international schools with over 50 countries represented, yet the qualities were the same. Looking back at it now, I realized that I changed a lot between the countries. In Mexico, I was the shy girl who didn't really know anybody, while in the Philippines, I was the tomboy girl who most people knew and talked to. In Switzerland, I was the sweet innocent girl who didn't speak English, yet everyone knew. And in Busan, I'm mostly known as my brother's sister. But other than that, I'm just a girl in 10th grade, with no outstanding traits and someone who isn't well known. Let's face it, popularity gets to your head. Everyone wants to be popular, to have a group and have hundreds of friends and thousands of followers on Instagram. We want to be accepted. We believe that the greater the popularity, the greater the life. I've experienced firsthand that this isn't true. You don't need to be in the most popular country with the most popular people with thousands of followers to be happy. You just need 2 to 3 people that bring a smile to your face on both good days and bad days. We need someone who we can rely on. Through my life, I have depended on 2 groups of people, my family both in Guatemala and my instant but also the 5 individuals who I consider myself lucky to call my best friends. By having constants, I have learned that not everything can be replaced and forgotten, because I know that no matter what happens or where I move to, I will always have a place at their table. My life has been a giant roller coaster, one with probably the craziest amount of 360s and drops ever imaginable. But then you get back up and you fall again. But if being a third culture kid has taught me anything, is that life is a constant battle. Imagine you are a tree and your roots are growing. Those roots are your identity. You'll have rain and wind and many things trying to bring you down, but it is up to you to let those roots grow or to let them bring you down. I fought through the loneliness, I got through the leaving, I learned to adapt, resilience. And most importantly, I learned to live in the moment. I learned to appreciate who I am and embrace all of the cultures that have made up my personality. I embraced languages, music, dance, literature, food, and so many more things. Sure, my life isn't perfect, and it isn't the easiest one or even a logical one, but it is one that is filled with love for my family and my friends, not to mention the great amount of opportunities given to us in educational purposes, financial, and just life. I don't know if you can all relate to my story, or if you have experienced what I have, or that you think that some way I do. But what I do know is that all of us have experienced the thrill of moving somewhere new, especially since this school is filled with people who have experienced life outside their homes. You all need to look around because trust me, what you will notice is quite wonderful. But this was how being a third culture kid has impacted my life.